I still remember the first time I noticed something was off. I'd just come back from a walk, nothing too intense, and as I changed into my comfy clothes, I caught a whiff of myself. Not horrible, not sweaty exactly, but there was this faint, sour smell. One of those that makes you pause and think, is that me? I chalked it up to laundry detergent at first, or maybe an old towel. But then it happened again, and again. Now, I'm not the type to skip a shower or wear clothes twice in a row. I eat relatively healthy, drink plenty of tea, and I'm not rolling in stress. So what on earth was happening? Turns out it wasn't about what I was putting on my body. It was what I was putting in it. Specifically, sugar. Not the obvious, kind like chocolate bars or desserts. Although yes, guilty there too. But the sneaky, quiet sugar hiding in places I never suspected. My granola, my salad dressing, even my so-called healthy yogurt. I didn't make the connection until I stumbled on a conversation online where a dermatologist was talking about how sugar affects the way we smell. Apparently, when we eat too much of it, especially refined sugars, it can mess with our gut bacteria. And once that balance is thrown off, it doesn't just affect digestion, it can actually alter the way we smell, like our body odor. Not only that, sugar also plays a starring role in aging our skin. It's called glycation, a word I hadn't heard before but now can't forget. It's when sugar binds to collagen and elastin, those lovely proteins that keep our skin plump and youthful, and makes them stiff and brittle. Think of it like caramelizing your skin from the inside out. Over time, it shows up as dullness, fine lines, and a general lack of glow. And yes, it can even make your scent more musty or sour. So here I was trying to age gracefully, layering expensive serums on my face and spritzing perfume to mask a weird scent, all while downing foods that were speeding up the very things I was trying to avoid. The sneaky part is that most of us don't realize how much sugar we're eating. Low fat often means high sugar. Even the healthy smoothies or protein bars I picked up in good faith turned out to be loaded with syrupy fillers. Once I got wise to it, I started reading labels like a hawk. I swapped flavored yogurts for plain ones with a drizzle of honey or berries. I cut back on pre-made sauces and dressings and made my own with olive oil, lemon, and herbs. I kept fruit, but started leaning into fiber-rich ones like pears and berries instead of fruit juice. The difference? Subtle at first, but real. I started smelling fresher, even after a long walk. My skin began to feel smoother, less like crepe paper, and I didn't feel so bloated all the time. This isn't about giving up everything sweet forever. Trust me, I still love a bit of chocolate after dinner. But becoming aware, just aware, of the sugar I was silently soaking in changed more than I expected. My scent, my skin, and how I felt in my own body all started shifting in the right direction. I have to confess, giving up my morning milky tea was not easy. That warm, creamy comfort in a cup felt like a hug at sunrise. And don't get me started on cheese night. A little brie, some crackers, maybe a cheeky glass of red. It was tradition, but here's what no one told me. As we age, our relationship with dairy quietly starts to change. And not for the better. It all started with a patch of skin on my chin that just wouldn't behave. I tried creams, masks, drank more water, even cut down on caffeine, but the bumps kept coming back. Then I noticed something else. This odd, slightly sour scent. Not all the time, but enough to make me second-guess hugging people too closely. I thought maybe I was just being paranoid. But when I mentioned it to my sister over brunch, she nodded and said, Funny you say that. I've noticed the same thing lately. So I started digging. I'm a firm believer that when something feels off, our bodies are trying to tell us something. And sure enough, doctor after doctor, article after article, kept bringing up the same thing: dairy. Turns out, as we get older, our bodies naturally start producing less lactase, the enzyme that helps digest lactose, the sugar in milk. Without enough of it, all that milk, cheese, and cream starts to sit a little heavier in our guts. For some, it causes bloating or cramps. For others, it shows up on the skin. Hello breakouts, dullness, and that puffy, tired look I'd been blaming on bad sleep. But here's the bit that really got me. Undigested dairy can feed certain bacteria in the gut that produce foul-smelling gases. Some of these byproducts don't just stay in the stomach. They can actually be released through your pores. Yes, your skin becomes part of the exhaust system. Isn't that charming? And the more I paid attention, the more I realized the connection. I'd have my usual morning latte, a yogurt mid-morning, a bit of cheese in the evening. And sure enough, by the end of the day, my skin felt oily. My breath was a bit sour. And I had that faint, something's off body smell, no matter how much deodorant I used. So I decided to try an experiment. 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks. Without dairy. I swapped cow's milk for oat and almond, tried a coconut-based yogurt that wasn't half bad, and saved cheese for the occasional treat, not a daily staple. And would you believe it? By day 5, my skin already looked calmer. By day 10, I didn't need to freshen up twice a day. My face didn't feel as puffy in the morning. And the best part? I started feeling more confident about how I smelled, not drenched in perfume, not obsessively scrubbing, but just naturally fresher. Look, I'm not saying everyone needs to go dairy-free forever. I still enjoy it now and then. But for those of us over a certain age, it's worth noticing. If you've been feeling a little off, both in scent and skin, don't underestimate your beloved block of cheddar. Your body might just be begging for a little dairy break. I know. Nobody wants to hear this one. Sugar is that one friend you know isn't great for you, but you keep inviting her to every celebration anyway. She shows up at birthdays, sneaks into your afternoon tea, and somehow becomes your shoulder to cry on after a long day. But here's what I've learned the hard way. Sugar doesn't just age your skin, it ages your smell too. Let me back up for a second. I've always had a sweet tooth. A little something after dinner, a biscuit with my tea, a slice of cake at church socials. It was part of life. But in my late 50s, I started noticing something strange. My skin was looking a bit more creased than usual. Not just wrinkles, but a kind of dullness, like someone had turned down the brightness. And even though I showered every day, used a light body spray, and kept up with my skincare, I started catching whiffs of a smell I didn't quite recognize. Not strong, just stale, slightly sour, like the air in a room that's been closed off too long. I thought maybe it was my laundry detergent or the new body lotion I tried, but then I read something that made my jaw drop. It was an article by a dermatologist who said, "Sugar makes you smell older." I nearly dropped my phone. Apparently, when we eat too much sugar, our body goes through something called glycation. It's a process where sugar molecules attach themselves to proteins like collagen and elastin. Those are the very things that keep our skin firm and fresh. This creates something called AGEs, or advanced glycation end products. Isn't that a lovely name? These AGEs make the skin stiff, wrinkled, and discolored. But more than that, they also affect your scent. You see, these byproducts don't just sit in your skin. They mess with your sweat. When your body tries to get rid of them, they come out through your pores. That slightly sour or musty smell, it could be your sweet tooth waving a little white flag. And just like with dairy, I did a little self-experiment. I gave up sugar for 10 days. No biscuits, no cakes, no fruit juice. I switched to herbal teas, reached for almonds instead of cookies, and upped my fresh veggies. I'm not going to pretend it was easy. The first 3 days, I would have tackled someone for a chocolate bar. But by day 4, I noticed my energy was more stable. By day 6, my skin felt less puffy, less tired. And by the end of the 10 days, I smelled cleaner. That's the only way I can put it. Even my clothes seemed to stay fresher longer. No more sour smell lingering by evening. Now, do I still enjoy the occasional slice of Victoria sponge? Of course I do. But I've learned to treat sugar like perfume. A little goes a long way. And too much? Well, it sticks around in more ways than one. All right, ladies, by now we've talked about dairy, sugar, and the wonders of giving them a little space in our lives. But there's one more game changer we need to discuss. Hydration. I'm talking about good old-fashioned water. Now, I know what you're thinking. I drink water. I'm fine. But hear me out. There's a difference between just drinking a cup here and there and properly hydrating. I've always been guilty of this one. I mean, who hasn't? I'd grab a coffee in the morning, a tea at lunch, maybe a fizzy drink or two in between, but water, well, it was always my last priority. I'd get to the end of the day, realize I hadn't even finished a full glass, and just call it a loss. But let me tell you, I started seeing the effects of this neglect. My skin felt drier, more tired, and to my horror, I began noticing an odd, stale, almost vinegar-like scent in my sweat. Yes, you heard me right. Vinegar. It wasn't all the time, but definitely on the days when I was running around, feeling busy, and not drinking enough water. That's when I started wondering, could it be that simple? That I was literally not hydrating enough to stay fresh? Turns out it is that simple. When we're dehydrated, our body doesn't just dry up on the outside. It gets sluggish on the inside too. Without enough water, your kidneys have to work harder to filter out toxins. But if you're not drinking enough, those toxins have nowhere to go except through your skin. They get released in your sweat, which is why you might start smelling a little off. The smell is your body's way of telling you it's struggling to do its job. And here's the kicker. When you're dehydrated, your skin becomes less effective at holding on to moisture. This leads to dry, tight skin that can show signs of aging faster than you'd like. Fine lines, wrinkles, and that dullness that makes you look older than you feel. It's like a snowball effect. The more dry you are, the more your skin suffers. The more your skin suffers, the older it looks and smells. So I started paying attention. I set an alarm to drink water every hour, and not just a sip, a proper glass. I filled up a jug in the morning and made sure I finished it by evening. I swapped out one of my teas for a tall glass of water with a slice of lemon or cucumber, which made it more fun. The result? It was like flipping a switch. My skin became more plump, more glowing. I started noticing that my scent was fresher, more neutral, not fighting against me. I also realized that I didn't feel as sluggish by midday, and my energy lasted longer throughout the day. Plus, I was no longer battling the odd body smell that had been sneaking up on me. Hydration isn't a miracle cure, but it's the simplest and cheapest thing you can do for your skin and scent. It's about giving your body the water it needs to work its magic. And trust me, when your skin looks great, and you smell fresh, you can't help but feel a little bit more confident. By making small changes in our diet, paying attention to our hydration, and giving our bodies the love and attention they deserve, we can stop the signs of aging from sneaking up on us. Smelling fresh, feeling confident, and looking radiant isn't about chasing after perfection. It's about being kind to ourselves. Thanks for sticking with me through this little journey. And remember, we're aging like fine wine, not forgotten grapes. Stay radiant, stay fresh, and take care of that beautiful body of yours. If you want more tips on staying your freshest and most fabulous self, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and comment below with your own beauty secrets.